What herbs, plants, or medicinal mushrooms can be used instead of antidepressants?
In terms of depression, it's a terrible irony that even though we have a very good standard of living in many ways in the United States, we use more antidepressants than the entire rest of the world, even though we're not even 8% of the population. We got something really gravely wrong going on here. For one, I think that people are using antidepressants just to deal with the natural pains of life, which I think is a terrible mistake. I think if people are actually depressed, we know that rhodiola rosea is being used by many psychiatrists with good results in place of antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs. So I would look at rhodiola, certainly. I think that's a real big one. We have some good human studies on St. John's wort extract, although I like rhodiola because it imparts more benefits. But also, sometimes people are depressed because they drink too much alcohol. And in that instance, maybe you switch to water and green tea instead and take a walk every time you think you want to have a drink or a glass of wine.
What herbs, plants, or medicinal mushrooms are best to improve the kidneys?
I would look at, for kidney health improvement, I really like parsley tea. Take a fresh bunch of parsley, preferably certified organic, cut it up, put it in a bowl, take a quart of freshly boiled water, pour it over that, cover it, let it sit for about 20 minutes, strain that, drink 2 cups this day, 2 cups the next day, make another batch. That will greatly help your kidneys. It's simple, it's cheap, it's highly effective. It's also very, very good for the skin, oddly enough. And I've done this with, I think, 3 people with psoriasis. I had read this as a folk remedy. I didn't know one way or another if it would work. I told these 3 people that at different times, every one of them. I said, look, I'm just telling you what I've read. I don't know if this is so. You're looking for answers. Give this a try. And in each case, they got rid of their psoriasis. And in each case, when they stopped drinking the parsley tea, the psoriasis came back. But for the kidneys, parsley tea is A1.
What herbs, plants, or medicinal mushrooms are best to improve memory?
In terms of improving memory, mind-sharpening activities, reading, intelligent conversation, crossword puzzles, that kind of thing are indispensable because we have to exercise our minds the way we exercise any part of our being. If we don't do that, then of course our mental capacity is going to go down. The adaptogenic herbs, rhodiola rosea, ashwagandha, schisandra berry, Panax ginseng, eleuthero. We know these all help to enhance mental function. We know these all help quite a bit. Holy basil seems to be beneficial as well. Saffron, while very expensive, shows real significant cognitive enhancing properties. So those are a few.
What herbs, plants, or medicinal mushrooms are best to help you improve your gut bacteria?
Well, there are prebiotics and probiotics that can help with your gut bacteria. I mean, for prebiotics, that is for substances that encourage the growth of friendly bacteria in the gut. Probably one of the best ones is chicory. It's very cheap. It's really effective. It contains inulin, which is highly valuable for feeding gut flora. And then I would also say that multiple strains of bacteria that are used to make either yogurt or kefir, either in those forms or in concentrated supplement form, refrigerated, can be, acidophilus, bulgaricus, some of those other bacteria can be very, very helpful. Green tea, by the way, helps to feed healthy gut bacteria.
Are there any studies that show proof that herbs, plants, or medicinal mushrooms can heal diseases?
Are there any studies showing that herbs, plants, or medicinal mushrooms can heal diseases? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of studies from all over the world. And the problem that we have with the medical situation as it is that for the most part, once medical doctors get their studies done, I won't say they're completely frozen in time. Good doctors keep reading emerging science. But they're not so likely to be exposed to the largest category of medicines on earth, which is plant-based medicines, used by more people on earth than pharmaceuticals. And so they tend not to understand this. But if you look at, for example, the American Botanical Council Clinical Guide to Herbs, which is a grouping of all of, well, not all, but many of the herbs that have good human clinical studies attached to them, it's extraordinary. So yes, we do know that any number of diseases, any number of health problems can be completely resolved with herbs, and typically more safe. I mean, here's one for you. There was a study that came out a few years ago. I thought it would revolutionize dermatology. They didn't even seem to care about it. 12 subjects. They all had psoriasis. They were all given chaga, which is a fungus, Inonotus obliquus. It's a fungus that grows on birch and oak. And every last one of them got rid of the psoriasis. Now, psoriasis is this agonizing, theoretically incurable condition. But everybody in that study got rid of it. Why that didn't hit the dermatological headlines like the biggest thing since sliced bread ever, I don't know. But we have many, many studies showing improvement in mood, showing improvement in very specific parameters of health that can be measured, all different kinds with botanicals. So yes, they are highly effective, and yes, the science is very good.
What herbs, plants, or medicinal mushrooms are best to help you get pregnant?
Getting pregnant or not getting pregnant is often credited to women, when very often it may be a problem of male sperm production or poor sperm motility. So it depends on what's going on. While I can't prove that, say, maca actually stimulates fertility per se, we know that it has a salutary effect on women's reproduction, and we know that in men it increases the quantity of sperm produced and also the motility of sperm produced. And a lot of times when a couple can't get pregnant, it's the guy, not the woman. Okay? It's not her who needs to be put on a ton of drugs. It's the guy who needs to up the sperm production and motility. And this, because of biases toward men in medicine and every other part of life, has just kind of been overlooked. We know that Tonkat Ali, which is a phenomenal sex enhancer, can be very helpful. We know that maca can be very helpful. We know that ashwagandha can be helpful. But you also want to know, are you dealing with the man, or are you dealing with the woman, or both?
What can you tell us about CBD oil?
CBD oil is one of the most confusing current ingredients out there. We're talking about hemp oil. And hemp is really defined as cannabis that has less than 0.3% THC in it. So it's not psychoactive, you can't get high from it. The oil derived from hemp stalk or leaves will contain CBD, but it will also contain typically a dozen or more other cannabinoids that support it, okay? Why we care about this is that within us we have a system called the endocannabinoid system made up of receptors that receive this. And then when they receive cannabinoids, whether it's CBD from cannabis, THC from cannabis, which is psychoactive, or the cannabinoids that our body makes, especially anandamide, that helps to regulate the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, the kidneys, the livers, immune function, bone growth, brain health and development, so many things. So I personally believe that cannabinoid-rich hemp oil is one of the great medical miracles. But seeing people put out like isolated, concentrated CBD, big mistake. That's not going to do it. That's not that whole herb. So I'm a big fan of CBD-rich hemp oil with the other accompanying cannabinoids, and I'm not a big fan at all of isolated, purified CBD. I actually think it's garbage.
Can you sum up everything we've talked about in 15 seconds?
I cannot possibly sum up everything we've talked about in 15 seconds, but I can say this. Medicinal plants have been with us since the beginning of human life for all the right reasons. They provide benefits to us. We have co-evolved with plants. We're part of their biology, they're part of ours. We have a symbiotic relationship. We don't have that with pharmaceuticals. And the science on medicinal plants is very, very good now, really strong. All you have to do is read it and understand it. And the sources are very good. The National Institutes of Health database, for example, PubMed, hundreds of thousands of papers on herbs, hundreds of thousands of them. So when you're considering your health, in addition to healthy organic foods, eating as many fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains and nuts and seeds as you can, I mean, not to the point of overeating, but making sure that that's the majority of your diet. Making sure that you get your omega-3 fatty acids, because we know those are highly valuable for hormones throughout the entire body, for the brain, etc. These are all helpful, but also spend time with family, spend time with friends, spend time doing the things you love, and if you're not doing work that is deeply meaningful for you, either change the work you do, or if you can't do that, supplement your life with activities that give you the gratifying satisfaction of doing something that you really care about, whatever that might be. These are parts of the ingredients for a good life, for a healthy life.
What's the one thing I must do today?
The one thing you must do today is love yourself and love others. All else will follow.
Why did you find it important to come here and speak at the Real Truth About Health conference?
When Stephen invited me to this conference, I knew nothing about it. And I looked at who else was here, and I thought, gee, it seems like a really good group of presenters. I would be very happy to be part of that. And in speaking with Steve, I liked what he had to say. I found his follow-up very organized and really good. You know, sometimes it's just like incredibly squishy and loosey-goosey with the conference, and you don't know where you're going. And you know, he really took care of all of that. And so the impression I got, which turned out to be true, was this was a well-run conference with people who are dedicated and have something good to offer. I mean, you've got everything here. You've got, you know, the raw fooders, you've got the vegans, you've got people on keto, I know that. You've got a whole smorgasbord of talent here. But intelligent people, thoughtful, obviously dedicated, and I thought to myself, yeah, I'd like to be part of that.